good to see all you guys again. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's a good turnout. We had kind of a light turnout on Monday. This is a much, much better turnout for us. And thankfully so, because of the topic we're going to be covering today is kind of a good one for everybody to be aware of, because that's one of the things we're going to be heading towards is open water swimming. Okay? So let's jump right into it. We're talking open water swimming for you guys today. One of the big things about open water swimming is it is actually the oldest form of competitive swimming on the planet. Brief history background of open water swimming. Open water swimming has actually been around in a competitive format for over 2,000 years. Okay, one of the earliest known organized events actually took place in Japan in something like 36 BC. So if you think about it, the pyramids had just been constructed. Rome was around when the first competitive race actually occurred. Okay, so what you guys are used to seeing in the swimming pool is new by comparison, significantly newer by comparison. All right, with open water swimming, there are several different distances that can be utilized, and that's kind of the nice thing about open water swimming is you can make it as short or as long as you want depending on the size of the body of water that you're utilizing. Okay, so for you guys to understand the Olympics, okay, the Olympics currently have one event. It's the 10-kilometer open water swim. All right, for those of you guys who aren't sure of your metric system, 10 kilometers is equal to 6.2 miles. All right. So the Olympic standard right now is a 6.2 open mile swim. All right. At the FINA World Championship, so not the Olympics, but the FINA World Championships, they actually race 3 different distances. Okay. They race a 5-kilometer, which is 3.1 miles. They race a 10-kilometer, which is the 6.2 miles, and then they do an ultra race. Okay, the ultra race is 25 kilometers long in one shot. All right, 25 kilometers equals out to about 15 and a half miles of open water swimming. Okay, nonstop, continuous. Okay, and it's not like the pool where with the pool you just turn laps endlessly for 15 miles. Not a big deal. This is an event where you have to compete against, you have no lane lines and things like that, and you have to compete against waves and ocean currents, all right, as you do this race. Okay, so you guys get an idea, it's a challenging sport. Okay, now there are junior distances, okay, and these are the distances that you guys can focus more on. So at US Open Water Junior Nationals, they have, for the 18 and unders, they race 2 distances. They race the 7.5 kilometer, which is 4.6 miles. That's their long one. And they race the 5 kilometer, which is 3.1 miles. So 18 and under compete at those 2 levels. So if you're 15, you can compete in that as well. Okay. Now, they also have another division called the 16 and unders. The 16 and unders only race one event. It's the 5 kilometer, which is 3.1 miles. Okay, so you guys can see as we get younger in the age groups, the distances start to shrink. Okay, one of the things I want to show you guys really quick, just so you guys.
You get the contract because you're black. That is the definition of racism right there.
Hang on a second, guys. There we go. All right, so continuing on, guys, I want to show you something really quick on my screen. So what I'm going to show you here is actually the actual course for open water zones for the Midwest. So this is where you guys would be competing. All right. So this is up at Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. If most of you guys have been up there, you know that there's that massive lake right by the Recplex. This is where the open water zone championship meet was held last year. Okay, so this is kind of a map of what you can see the race. So they have 2 maps. You have the one that's highlighted in yellow and the one that's highlighted in orange. Okay, so you have up near the beach here, you have the start line right here. Okay, from there, the smaller course, which is this guy right here, the smaller triangle, is 1,000 meters around. Okay, one loop is 1,000 meters. So the races they have are the 1,000, the 2K, the 3K. So simple math, if you're doing the 1,000, you do this one time through. If you're doing it the 2K or the 3K, you're actually doing 3 laps of this. Okay, then we get up to the bigger level, which is the 5 kilometer, which is the bigger one. Okay, this one is one lap is 1,666 meters long. Okay, for this race, for the 5 kilometer race, the big one, you have to do this giant one 3 loops. All right, and that's what we're looking at here. So when we're talking about open water, this is kind of what you guys would see, this kind of map right here, at a meat packet when you're getting ready to compete, and all of them have them all over whatever venue we may be racing at. They may look like a triangle like these. They may look like a square. They may look like a weird hexagon. It's all dependent upon how the race organizers wanted to create the layout of the competition. So that's for you guys to kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Okay, so I wasn't going to touch on this, but I think with all your guys' inexperiences with open water swimming, and I think some of you have voiced concerns and worries about it, I want to just touch on some fears that I've heard from kids your age about jumping in and competing in open water competition. One of the big things that I've heard people say that makes them nervous about open water swimming is there's fish in there or there's wildlife. Newsflash, guys, you're in a large body of water that's not chlorinated. You're gonna have natural wildlife living in that. That's kind of their thing. Okay, you're stepping into their environment, and that's okay. Some of the things you guys need to know about that is, number one, the amount of athletes competing in an open water event generate a lot of noise and a lot of thrashing in the water. Okay, that kind of noise startles and scares most wild animals away, because unlike us, we hear something, we just hear the noise. Some of the animals in the ocean or in lakes not only hear the sound, they can hear the size of the sound. So based on the sound that's being created, they can picture in their minds how big that creature is. If you have a pack of 20 kids swimming together, okay, you sound in the water like a humpback whale. Nothing's going to bother you. You are a massive fish. As far as the other wildlife is concerned, you're a giant fish that's not to be messed with. Okay, so that's something you guys don't need to worry about. Okay, and this is coming from experience. I've raced in open water events, and I'm going to get to a few stories for you guys in a couple minutes. One of which right now I can actually tell you is my my second triathlon I ever did. I swam in Lake Michigan, and at the start of the race, it was a really calm day. I started swimming in it. As I looked down, I could see some fish swimming around, and it was actually kind of cool to not look down and have to see like a solid black line, that I actually saw like fish swimming around. And part of me wondered if I could make friends with them and see if they'd be friendly towards me. And the other part of my brain said, Chris, knock it off. You're in the middle of a race. Pay attention to what you're doing. So another big thing that a lot of people worry about with open water swimming is they can't see the bottom. This actually causes a lot of new swimmers in the sport of open water competition to panic, because you guys are going from a swimming pool, and this happens for even like older master swimmers. You're used to being in a pool where you can clearly see the bottom of the pool. Even in the deep end, you can see straight down, you can see everything. And then we go into like a lake or maybe an ocean that's really choppy that day and sediment and stuff's turned up. You can't see the bottom. Okay, and that freaks a lot of people out. There's no need to freak out about it. Okay, so you don't need to see the bottom of the pool. If you guys are bottom of the body of water you're competing in, because if you guys think about it, whether you're at a swimming pool or in an open water event, you only exist in the top 2 feet of the water. Okay, your body, your arms, 2 to 3 feet are the topmost layer of the water. That's where you're going to be the entire competition. So the rest of it is just for decoration. You really don't need to be worried about being able to see the bottom of the pool. You want to just be able to know that you're where you need to be and just going in the direction you're supposed to go. Okay. Really quick story with that one, with the not so clear water, is my very first triathlon race I ever did. So this was the first time I ever did an open water swim competitively. People warn me that there's things that can happen and people freak out, and I'm sitting here going, oh yeah, I've been a swimmer for a long time. I don't get freaked out about the water. Okay, I surf, I snorkel, I know what's up. Yeah, I dove in on my race, and it was a beach start, so we started on the beach and then ran into the water, and it was just in a lake. I dove in, and I didn't realize it, and everyone else did. I thought I had some kind of advantage, but everyone else was shifted away from me for a good reason. Because when I dove in to a patch of nothing but it's like seaweed, grass type stuff. So when I dove in and went like this, it just went boom and then slid all across my face. I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. This sucks. But I reminded myself, hey, that's just the beginning. You're fine. Don't panic. As long as you're not tangled up in it, you're fine. And I wasn't. It just went across my face and it was like, oh. And then, within 10 strokes, the water was deep enough to where nothing was phasing me anymore. And I went. So it's okay. If anything, it's stuff that makes you laugh later about it because it acts for a good story to tell your friends. Okay. The third big fear that I've heard a lot of you guys kind of mention and other athletes mention is contact with other athletes. Okay, this is a sport where there are no lane lines. You don't have your own space. Okay, so for those of you guys who like personal space bubbles, yeah, you might as well pop your bubble with open water swimming. You're gonna get in and get comfortable with people. Okay, you may get bumped a little bit. It's okay. Understand that when people do bump into you, it's not them intentionally trying to hurt you. They're just trying to get out. They're trying to race. All right, they're trying to win, and just like you guys are. Now, what's nice about open water swimming is there are officials that follow you guys along the entire time. And I'm going to show you guys some video footage in a minute, and I can kind of point these things out to show you. The officials are watching whether or not you're intentionally ramming into someone, or you get out a little bit in front of them, cut them off, and then stop and force them to stop. You can't do those sort of things. You can't block. You can't impede an athlete's movement forward, okay, intentionally. And the officials are very good about noticing what is and what's not legal. All right. The other big thing is you're not allowed to swim over the top of another swimmer. So this isn't water polo, where you guys have probably seen that quite a bit. In open water swimming, it's very minimal contact is tolerated, okay? So any questions about the fears? I hope you guys understand. This is why I wanted to get it out of the way right away, so you guys knew there's really nothing to be concerned about with open water swimming. I've seen a lot of it. I've taken part in a lot of it. It is a fun, challenging group of events for our sport, okay? All right. So jumping to why are we going to do this? Why are we talking about this with you guys? Okay. One of the big things with open water swimming is it keeps things interesting for you guys. I mean, let's face it. When you guys are swimming back and forth in the pool for hours on end, it gets kind of boring and kind of dry. You guys kind of know what's expected in a swimming pool. Providing you guys opportunities for open water events kind of adds a new flavor. It spices things up for you in this sport and keeps things interesting, okay? Another thing is about opportunities, okay? Open water swimming is a huge opportunity boom in the United States right now, okay? For one, the cuts aren't that fast. All right, the time standards to get into open water state, open water zones are not that incredibly fast for the age groupers. And looking at, as I'm putting together you guys a digital battle board, there is a huge number of you guys already that have open water zone cuts for open water competition. Last I think I had 12 or 13 kids already with open water zone cuts. So they're not that fast. All right. And with that, you guys have the opportunities to move really quickly up in the national rankings. I heard a crazy story when I went to the select camp with Maggie Graves last year. They said that for the 15 to 16-year-olds at nationals, at junior nationals, they would take the top four finishers to the junior world championships in the Seychelles Islands off of Africa. And they're really exotic, beautiful islands, crystal clear water. All right. So top four Top 4 guys would go to Junior Worlds and represent the United States. For the boys 15 to 16-year-old division, there were only 12 boys that showed up to race it. Only 12 boys at Junior Nationals showed up to race. That means you had a 1 in 3 chance of making it to the World Junior Championships and represent the United States. And which is really cool, because if you represent the US, you get the fancy cap, you get brand new swimsuits, you get a ton of new stuff. All right, all with USA, Team USA emblazoned on it. It's super cool. Okay. The other reason why we're doing it is because as a club, we are ready to be competitive right away. Okay. The way we do training is actually ideal for you guys, preparing you guys for open water competition. Okay. The training that we've been doing for you guys and the successes that you guys have seen yourselves have at like the 400 meter, the 800 meter, the 1500 meter swims, and you guys as a team are significantly faster than a lot of other teams in the state. You guys are more than prepared to be successful at the open water level. All right. Couple things now, switching gears to like the skills that you may need for open water swimming. And this is where I'm going to start showing some videos for you guys. Ironically enough, Go Swim sent me a recommended video today that said, hey, here's how you do spotting. So I'm going to show you guys that spotting video really quick. So the skills for open water is you need to have endurance. And that's something that we already are training. You guys have great endurance capacities, all right, especially when we're back fully in shape and going. The other big skill to have is your ability to spot. Spotting is something unique for open water because without lane lines and lane markers, you have no idea where you're going. So you need to rely on spotting. So spotting is a very simple movement. It's as you're taking the freestyle strokes, you're going to lift your head forward just enough so your goggles break the surface so you can see where you're going, and then you take that breath and then back down. So what I'm going to push out to you guys right now is a video of it. I don't have a link for it because it's Go Swim, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the video, and this kind of takes you through a slow motion view of what spotting looks like. All right, and this is kind of an important skill, especially for those of you guys that are in open water, doing open water stuff right now. This is a great opportunity for you guys to work on that. All right, so here we go. So here's spotting. So he's going to take a stroke and see how he just lifts his head right there. If you guys can see, look at, don't even see his nose. It's just the goggles. The goggles are the only thing breaking out. All right. Turns his head to the side to take a breath, and then he's back down. So on this next one that he's going to take a breath, there's two things I want to point out to you guys. Number one, when he goes to take his breath, watch his arms, okay? When he's catching the pull, you're going to notice his arms aren't pushing down on the water to lift himself up. He's actually letting his back muscles lift his head up out of the water just enough, all right? So watch how he's still continuing to catch with his arms as he goes through this, okay? The other thing is you're going to watch his hips back here, okay? His hips are right back in here, all right? His hips will stay up at the surface the entire time. Even when he's spotting, his hips don't drop. That's kind of an important key part to spotting. To maintain your speed and tempo is to make sure your hips stay up. All right, so let's watch as he goes to take his next spot. So there's the spot. Still catching. All right, driving through. And this will be the last spot he takes. Again, look at, just out of the surface, turns his head for a quick breath, and then back down. So I know it's a little choppy for you guys, but you kind of get the basic idea on how it works. Abby asked a great question of, for open water races, would the lakes be cold enough for wearing a wetsuit? A lot of the times the courses, and when they're raced, they are not wetsuit legal. Most of the time they are not wetsuit legal. You guys can get away with just wearing your regular suits. When you get up to like the national and international level, they have the suits that have, you know, that have the jammer bottoms for men and women, and then even for the men, they wear the ones with the straps that come all the way over the top, so it's a bodysuit. Both the men and women wear those at the high international levels and the national levels. All right, so switching gears again, let's look at some video, guys. I'm going to push out, I'm going to send you guys a link right now. This is actually last year's Open Water National Championships that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. All right, I'm going to push that out to you right now. All right, so this is Open Water Nationals. So the video, I'm going to go ahead and have you guys, once you open up the video link, go to 6 minutes and 24 seconds, give or take, in the video. Okay, that's going to be right at the start of the race. I'll give you guys a second as I'm getting mine all loaded up.
Did you send the video?
Yeah, I just sent, oh, sorry. I sent it privately to Abby Ashcraft, so she has it, but no one else does. Here you guys go. All right, so I'll go ahead and share my Zoom. I'll get my screen again for you guys. So again, going to start at around 6 minutes and 24 seconds. All right. Okay, so the race is going to start here. So a couple things I wanted to point out to you guys on my screen is the way it starts is very similar to how they would do the start in Pleasant Prairie. So you have all the competitors all lined up here, and what you can kind of see in the video is you see like a rope. There's a rope tethered to the dock, and it comes out to the official's boat. The athletes are to hold on to that line, okay, until the horn sounds. Once the horn sounds, they can disengage and start racing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start watching this a little bit here. You guys can see in the low corner here, this is where the officials are. I'm going to see if I can speed up my camera a little bit so it'll be a little bit less choppy for you guys. So that's, you guys are going to see the start right here. So horn goes, everyone's going full speed. All right. At this point, everyone's kind of jostling a little bit. This is where a little bit of contact will happen for you guys, trying to get positions and set yourselves up to the first turn buoy. All right. All right, so you guys can see how that goes. All right, so go ahead and fast forward the video to 11 minutes and 1 second, okay? So go to 11:01. I'm gonna scroll mine to 11:01 here. Around 11 or 11:00, which either one is fine, okay? So this video is, part of the video right now is going to be in the midst of the race, and I want you guys to kind of watch on your screens or on my screen, watch how they're spotting. We saw how to do the spot in a slow-mo video. Now this is going to be in real time, how the spotting works. You're going to notice, just watch the heads and watch how low they are with the head positioning. I like to watch the person in the yellow cap right here. They do a really good job spotting. So this individual right here. All right. And if you notice, not all of them spot every time they take a breath, and that's totally okay. You don't have to spot every time you go to take a breath. You can spot however often you want. If you're in a pack like this, you may not need to spot as often, but you're still going to need to spot. And you're going to see some guys really lunge up high. You don't need to do that. Okay. It's just nice and low. What you guys saw back there a second ago with that red triangle, that's one of the turn buoys. So you actually saw them turn a little bit on this course. All right. So that's kind of how spotting looks. All right. So now we're going to jump really far ahead. So I want to jump to the end of the race so you guys can kind of get a feel of what a finish in open water swimming looks like. It's definitely a little bit different than what you guys are used to with regular in-pool swimming. So go ahead and fast forward your video to 1 hour and 9 minutes and 40 seconds. So I'm going to go like 109:41. Okay. So when you guys are coming into a finish for open water swimming, they create what's called like a chute. This is the only time you guys may actually see like lane lines, and they're flared out like a giant cup, and they're designed to have kind of bottleneck you in towards the finishing chute. Okay, so what you guys are going to see here is these are the swimmers coming in for the final few meters of the race. All right, so the race is between these three gentlemen right here. All right, and you're going to see them coming in for that finish. All right, you can see people can go out on the dock and cheer. Usually it's the coaches, but see, yeah, see, there's 4 guys racing for the finish right here. So they've gone all that distance, 5 kilometers, to come down to a 200 to 300 meter sprint for the finish. All right, here they come in. And you guys may be able to see a little bit of the finishing chute. So this yellow buoy, and you can see right on the upper part of your screen and lower part, there's the finishing chute. So there's the lane line, and there's another lane line right here kind of hemming them in and bringing them in. All right, and they're coming down the finish. Now, I'm going to pause it really quick, because what you guys are going to see is something really goofy. There are touch pads in open water swimming. The touch pads actually hang above you like they're a bridge. So when you come into the finish, instead of just extending straight in the water and touching the wall, you actually have to time it to where when you finish, one of your recovering strokes finishes and fully extends out in front of you, like you're going to take another stroke, but instead it slaps the touch pad. So you want to try to slap the touch pad on your finish, and you're going to see them do that right here. There's the touch pads hanging up. There you go. And that's how you do it. And that overhead, you're going to see an overhead view. That's a great overhead shot of what the touchpad looks like. One of the big things, you guys, when you come to these touchpads is it's all about timing. It's really important that you guys time it to where when you touch that pad, you're close enough to where when you extend your arm out straight in front of you, you're going to make contact with it and hit it. And you don't want to short it. You don't want to reach out and miss it and then have to try to take it with another arm stroke. All right. So that's that. So that, guys, in a nutshell, is open water swimming and open water racing. It is fun and cool. Trust me. And here's a great selling point. You guys could see people, spectators, get to like hang out in the water on the beach. So if your parents are ever like, oh, I don't want to sit here and watch you swim nonstop for like an hour and a half, be like, Mom, Dad, it's cool. You get to hang out on the beach. You get to hang out for an hour and a half. I'm going to go swim for an hour and a half. All right. So any questions about open water swimming? To answer Timmy's concern earlier, Timmy, you missed when I was talking about it. Sharks only bite out of defense usually. And the reason why I've never heard of an open water event where an individual was attacked by wildlife, other than like a box jellyfish or something like that. Yes, and Amelia just pointed out there are no sharks in a lake. Amelia says, I want to do it, but I'm not good at distance. That's okay, Amelia. The way, like I mentioned earlier, the way that we train as BSC swimmers, you'd actually be pretty solid in it. And it's funny because a lot of great open water swimmers were pretty decent pool swimmers, but they just kind of were overshadowed by other great swimmers that they were like, well, I want to carve out my own little niche in the swimming world. And they kind of fell into open water swimming. And like I said earlier, it produced a lot of opportunities that they would have otherwise not had in pool swimming. Any questions you guys have? Oh, here's a question from Abby. So good question, Abby. Abby asked, when you're sighting, can you take a breath and then sight afterwards, or should you take a sight and then take your breath? Abby, I would tell you very simply, sight before you take your breath. All right. If you think about it, if you take a breath here and then try to sight, it really makes it uncomfortable for you. Okay. Whereas if you're stroking, if you're looking up, taking the stroke to see, you can just very comfortably roll that head into the breath and then back down. Okay. As opposed to if you hear breath and then you're going to go like this, it's going to disrupt the flow and rhythm of your stroke. So that's a really good question. Sight before you take your breath. Any other questions? All right, so one other fear, I want to touch on that last one and address it because of Timmy being a goofball. Timmy, people drown everywhere, whether it's open water swimming or in a pool swimming, okay? If you look at the number of people who swim, whether it's open water events or in a swimming pool, the chances of something bad happening to you are so small and minute, you have a better chance of being struck by lightning this afternoon. So, like I said, guys, it's not something to be scary, and something you guys can go back and look at the video. There's spotters and there's officials everywhere around you guys. So if you go back and watch that video, you're going to see there's boats, there's motorized boats, and then there's kayaks and canoes that actually will follow along with the athletes. What you guys won't see is behind all the athletes. So the last person swimming, there's going to be at least 2, maybe even 3 boats behind that person. So there's tons of eyes on you guys at any given moment. Okay, Timmy, you're fine. It's a legitimate concern. This is how I'm addressing it, though. Is there's a lot of eyes on you guys, up close and personal, that if something was to happen, there'd be someone there to help you out right away. Or if you get like a really bad cramp, if you cramp up really bad, which I actually saw at the open water select camp with Maggie, an athlete cramped up really bad in the middle of the race, and it was very simple. It was boom, boom, boom. Within a few seconds, a kayak was over. They were able to hold on to the kayak, kind of rub and massage out the muscle, and then they continued on. So there's a lot of individuals there to look out for you guys. All right. You're fine, Timmy. It's a valid concern. And like I said to you guys, this is a new frontier for a lot of you guys. You're not used to open water swimming. So my hope was this talk would kind of dispel some of the concerns you guys have and actually, stress some of the opportunities that you guys have and some of the avenues that may be open for you guys in open water swimming. And it's one of those things, you may not like it at first, but most of the top tier open water swimmers in the world will tell you they didn't like it when they first did it. But over time, they learned to enjoy it a lot more as they did it more and more. All right, Abby asked, when will we get to race or practice open water? So as of right now, open water state for Illinois has been pushed back till September. I want to say mid-September. So that would be the earliest we'd compete. As we got very close to that day, we would dedicate a couple practice here or there to work on some of the skills like sighting or teaching you guys how to draft. Okay, and drafting isn't straight behind you. That's very technical. That's not something to really worry about with you guys. With you guys, I would tell you, when it comes to strategy, just go. All right. So the biggest thing we'd probably work on is spotting with you guys and maybe how to turn around a buoy. And we can set aside some time as we got closer to that on how to do those things properly. All right. And they're a lot of fun. All right. The other cool thing, real quick, I'll finish up with this, guys, about open water swimming is you guys have heard Coach Rob and I talk to you guys before your races at a swim meet when we talk strategy. You know, how do you race this race? What's really, really cool about open water swimming is there is a ton of strategy that goes into it. Okay. At the international level, everybody knows everybody at that level. So everyone knows their strengths, each other's strengths, and everyone knows each other's weaknesses. So what's really cool is when you watch those big level meets, people are trying to mess with each other a little bit. They're gonna draft them a little bit, or how do you draft? How do you work as a team? A group of 5 of you can actually work together to pull yourselves away from another group of competitors, so that we can have like the whole mass of athletes, and then way up ahead is 5 BSC swimmers. And you guys are just taking turns. Like if you guys have ever seen a flock of geese flying in a V or ducks flying in a V, the duck in front isn't always there. He'll fly there, which is the hardest part for a while, and then he'll drop back, and then a new duck will take over the lead. Okay, same idea applies to open water swimming. You let someone do the work in front while you kind of just draft off of them for a little bit, and when they get tired, they can drop off. Then it's going to be your turn to take over, and working together allows you guys to get even more separation. Just some cool stuff like that. All right, so any other questions we got for today? Oh, I think Abby shot up out of her seat real quick and is typing furiously, so I think she's got a question. Abby, it's easier just to unmute yourself.
What about open lake water zones and nationals? Like, have we heard anything about them yet?
As of right now, I haven't heard much about it, no. My main focus for you guys is open water state, just because there's so many of you guys qualified for open water state. So that's kind of the main focus, and I'm more focused on open water state for you guys because I want to get you guys introduced to it, and also it may be the first competitive event that you guys will be able to participate in. So that's kind of where my focus is for you guys with open water related stuff. Abby just asked me another question. How would we qualify if we don't have meet before state? Okay, so if you guys go on ilswim.org, ilswim.org, all right, they actually have time standards, okay? And the time standards are not open water standards, because if you think about it, open water, no two courses are the same and no two single days are the same. So it's really hard to say, okay, you have to be able to swim 1,000 meters open water in this time to get a cut. Well, that's not fair, because if Abby Hill swims that course on Monday and the water is glass, and I swim it 2 days later and a thunderstorm is about to roll in and the waves are like going like crazy, Abby's obviously going to be faster than me in that. Okay, she has an advantage. So the way the time standards are is based off of 500 times, 1,000-yard free times, and 1,650 or 1,500 meter times. So if you go on the ilswim.org website and you search for time standards, you'll actually be able to see it here. I'll actually pull it up for you guys right now. I'm going to share you guys real quick so you guys can see this too. And you can see it for all the time standards. So here, you go to ilswim.org. All right, so this takes you to our main screen for Illinois swimming, okay? So you're gonna highlight events and you go down to time standards, okay? Here are your time standards. So open water standards are right here. Click on it. And there you go. There's your open water standards. So the 400 meter or the 500 yard, 800 meter, 1,000, and then it's divided just how the normal standards are. Short course yards, short course meters, long course meters. Boys on the right, girls on the left, 11, 12, 13, 14, open. So that's pretty much how it is. Do I know who's qualified for open water state? As of right now, yes, I do. And you guys can find out too if you're qualified by simply, like I just showed you, going on open water, or going on the open water time standards, look at what your best 500 or 400 meter free time is, or any of your best times in your distance, and see if it's faster. If it is, you have an open water state standard. I'm not going to come through, Danny, and list every single person, okay? Besides, guys, that's back in September. We got a long ways to go before that time comes, so we got time. All right? All right, that does it for open water, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This one was a really cool one, and I was really excited for it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. For those of you who are already doing open water swimming, because that's the only water you're getting, like Abby Ashcraft, you know, work on that spotting, practice spotting, getting more comfortable with it. All right? If you guys got nothing else, we'll call it a day.
Farewell.